Hi, I am Kezia. Welcome back to my channel, A Joyful Endeavor. Today we are going to follow along on the process of transforming a store-bought sweater into something that is a little bit more wearable. It did take me probably from starting in November to finishing this in January because I had other projects and other things that were happening in the middle of all of that. And it's something that I have taken apart sweaters in the past from the thrift stores and from my life, but I haven't done it in quite some time. So it was a relearning process, remembering how to do everything and to also see the parts of the process that are a little bit more lengthy or challenging or difficult, and to problem solve those things. Ultimately, it was one of those projects where I started off with a lot of enthusiasm. I got a little bit worried in the middle of it, and then ultimately made it through to the end, and I'm very happy with the result. So I would love to share that process with you and walk you through kind of how that worked for me. And if you are up for it, come along for the journey. Let's go. So here's what we've got. It is a massive sweater, and it has a small little hole right here you can see. So what I'm thinking is maybe having it, what I want to do is take it out and then add more ribbing and then use the extra yarn for something else, like a hat or hand warmers or something. But I want this sweater to be slightly more wearable. Maybe I'm gonna mark it where I want things to be ending, and then the amount of ribbing that I want to do, that I want to add on. But essentially, this is seamed together. So yeah, I want to take off like probably up to here and then seam that together, and then but it's going to be obviously take it out up to a certain point and then knit back the ribbing and then reseam it together and figure out what I want to do with the rest of the yarn. I think a little hat would be really cute. I love the structure that this has, and I like this texture. So I think I will for sure have enough for a hat, and then whatever else. I love this yarn. It's really, really, really nice yarn, but this is just too big for me. And I mean, I can make it cute, but sometimes it just feels like it's a lot of sweater. And I want it to be a little bit more like, not a lot of sweater. So that's where I'm at. I'm gonna start picking up stitches, mark it, pick up stitches, and then start to take it out and remove it, frog the sweater, and then we'll see how it goes. I started off this project by first off marking where I wanted to take the sweater back to, and then going in and trying to pick up the right stitch of the right side of every stitch to have a safety line, just in case something went wrong. I would at least have this much of the sweater blocked off. And ultimately, I do think it was a good plan to do this, but it did take me quite a bit of time, and it also wasn't perfect. Since this was knitted in panels and then stitched together, that definitely created some bit of interest and bit of unexpected stitches to have come out or to have kind of not been perfectly even. So when I did get to the end of this, I did have certain notches that were not perfectly aligned. And ultimately, I'm happy that I did this, and I do think that it helped me. So if you're going to do something like this, I would recommend giving yourself kind of like a safety line of stitches. I did try to start taking this sweater apart from the bottom, and I was running into so many issues. And then I remembered that honestly, most sweaters are not knit starting at the bottom for industrial patterns. So what I ended up doing after struggling for quite some time was I ended up cutting the knitting just maybe a centimeter beneath where I had put in that stitch line of contrast yarn. And I just went for it and cut across. And then you'll see here, oh, you know what? Did I cut across, or did I just snip one snip and then took that one line of yarn out? That is what I did. And so you'll see here, I'm pulling that yarn out and trying to make sure that I keep those stitches as safe and neat as possible so that I'm able to deal with whatever the repercussions of this are relatively easily. I had my umbrella swift out because I knew that I was planning on washing this yarn. So I went from the sweater to the umbrella swift to make skeins of the yarn so I would be able to take it and easily give it a good wash and get any additional dirt, and also get the yarn to be relaxed. It usually will come out of a sweater in kind of a kinked manner, and it's best to not knit something directly from that state. It's best to let the fibers relax and then create their own memory from the new knitting that you're going to do with them. So I worked the chaos of all the knots that I ended up kind of getting. I would find that it was easiest to take out a section of the yarn from the sweater and then wind it onto the umbrella swift, and from there then deal with any little knots or things that came up in the meantime. But if you were to try something like this, you'll see that it is finicky, and you do have to be careful. Sometimes yarn can be a bit fragile, so you might have it break. This particular sweater, it wasn't knit with two pieces at the same time, but somehow 2 rows were knit at the same time. So when I was pulling it out, two pieces of yarn were coming off of the sweater at once, and I would have to pull one and then the other and then one and then the other sometimes to stop it from sticking together. And you'll see where that actually comes into play later on when I do try to separate those from each other, because I don't personally have the capacity to knit sweaters in two rows at a time. You can see here, these are the finished wound up hanks of yarn. Last night, I finished unwinding all of my yarn from my sweater, and I got it all set up on my umbrella swift and tied it in knots in 3 different spots. And now I just you can see it's all very curly from being knitted up. And so now I want to just give it a bath to relax it and also to clean it. So I'm going to just fill up my sink here. So I think it looks so pretty like this though. Yeah. But here we go. I'm gonna give this a wash. The yarn got a lovely bath. I used this soap that I use for all of my knits that actually doesn't require you to rinse the yarn or the knit after. I really like it. You can see it in the top corner right there, and I just use it in the unscented. But it works really well, and I felt like it did a good job with this. It definitely got some dirt off of this yarn and helped to relax it, didn't felt it or anything. And you can see I was being quite gentle because I didn't want anything to be shocked. So I used relatively chilly water and then didn't do much agitation. From there, I did allow that yarn to dry. I did the towel method that people often do with yarn and sweaters and things. And then it dried, and I was able to start getting it taken out of the hank and moving it into the processed ball version of yarn so that you're actually able to work with it. I started to take the yarn out of the hank form and move it into ball form, and then from there I actually went another step further. Some of the yarn from the sweater was actually knit in twos. I believe that it was actually knitted one row and another at the same time, so when I was taking them off the sweater, it was two pieces of yarn at once that came off of each pole, which was interesting and added a layer of complexity with taking the sweater apart in general. And I was very determined, so I put in the time that it took to take the yarns apart fully. And I was listening to some YouTube or some audiobooks throughout the whole process, so it made it go by relatively quickly. So I wanted to just check in on this sweater. I took it apart, finished taking it apart, what I ended up doing was winding the balls, you would have seen that, into skeins, and then taking them out of the skeins once they dried and putting them back into balls. Two of them were two pieces of yarn at once, and I wanted to separate it because I wanted to have the yarn just one strand, not double. So that honestly probably took the longest, taking it out of the ball mixed into two and putting one onto the skein and one onto the ball winder. And then once I was done with that, winding the ball winder one back onto the ball winder. Wow, winding the one on this umbrella swift onto the ball winder. That part was fast. They splitting them up into the two different things took forever, like probably 5 hours, 4 hours, something like that. So recycling yarn from a sweater is not for the faint of heart. But if you're somebody who likes a puzzle, then, or likes untangling things, or likes sitting down and figuring something out, then it might be for you, and it might be worth it. So I ended up with, I ended up with 4 balls like this and one smaller ball, which I'm currently using the smaller one. And I'm this far along. I honestly probably should have weighed it. So maybe I'll just really quickly weigh what I've got. And then from there, I started knitting. I had a weird little section because this sweater was knit in pieces and then seamed together. So when I was taking it apart, I had a weird section on one end of one of the sweater fronts or back, that it just went up in a weird angle. It didn't go straight across like in an even line with all the rest of it. So there was just kind of 7 rows and a little triangle of like 7 rows to like 0 to get it back to straight. So I did a little bit of stockinette and German short rows to get that to have the little triangle knitted in there. And then I went ahead and started doing 2x2 rib. And I counted the stitches to get the gauge of what the sweater is, and it was about it would probably have been like a 3 millimeter needle. Wow. I think it would have been a US 3, which I think the US 3 and 3 millimeter are the same. But I wanted to just make sure that the ribbing would be a little bit smaller, and I may regret this. Maybe I should have gone down further, but I went down 2.5 to a 2.5 needle. So US 2.5. And so far so good. I didn't even count the amount of stitches. I just kind of decided I would wing it, and it's somehow magically working out that it's perfectly even for the 2x2, even though I think I did pick up like an extra stitch or two. It's not perfect. Technically what I should have been doing is knitting a 2x2 ribbing bind off. Wow, not bind off. What I should have done was knit it from the bottom up and then graft it onto the live stitches. But I didn't, and I don't care that much. I just want there to be ribbing down here, and I don't think it's going to be that terrible that the stitches are going one way and then the other. Maybe it's not even... Maybe I got all in my head about that, but it's not actually even true. Yeah, no, because I'm looking at this, and the stitches aren't switching directions. That's nice, but I might also just be looking at it wrong. We'll take the win if it is a win. I don't think it matters that much. It doesn't bother me either way. I just want to have like a good 3 inches, 2.5 inches of ribbing added to the bottom of the sweater, and then I want to finish fixing the little hole that one of the front panel has, and then do a bind off, and then I'm happy to wear it. And I want to use the extra yarn to make something else. So that's where we're at. I'm gonna keep knitting. I will show you kind of where I am. If you can see the green, I'm about like a centimeter in. So I've got a ways to go to get to the point where I'm like 2.5 or 3 inches, but like it's not that far considering that I didn't knit the sweater. I feel like the bulk of this project was just taking apart the yarn and dealing with all of that chaos and washing the yarn and drying the yarn. And yeah, so I'm gonna go measure the yarn, actually, the extra balls of yarn, just to see how much I have, and then I'll get back to knitting and see how far I can get. So I'm just gonna stack all of this onto a tear it out scale. Okay, so this one is 37 grams. I should just weigh them all. Oh, 36. I bet they're all gonna be very, very similar. 36. 35. Okay, so if we put them all together, it's gonna be 146 grams. It's pretty good for taking apart 1/3 of a sweater. And there's still one other little piece. Let's see, 146. So yeah, it was probably a little bit closer to like 160, I would guess, because that other small skein was just from the ribbing, and so it was just a smaller piece altogether. But it's very interesting to see how much yarn you can get, and I think it would be like about a sport weight. And yeah, probably will knit it. If I knit a beanie or something, I'll use like a 3 US 3 sweater. Oh, I will use a US 3 needle. I won't use a sweater to knit a sweater or a beanie. I will use a needle to knit a beanie. Yeah. So we will see how that goes. I'll see if I can find a sport weight beanie pattern, or like maybe I could just go based off of the gauge and just decide what I want to do. That could be nice. So we'll see. I'll get going with that. Okay, for now, I'm gonna get back to knitting. We have reached bind off. I got about 5 centimeters of ribbing done, and I tried it on and I'm happy with it. And now I am doing a bind off, and I was thinking, oh, it's gonna be so fun and easy. It's the Italian bind off. And then I sat down to, oh, and I like the Italian tubular bind off. But then I sat down and realized that I have knit this in 2x2 rib, and so therefore it's not my usual Italian tubular bind off, because I have to do it for 2x2. So cue the chaos, and I've got too much yarn probably, and I always freak out that I'm gonna run out, which I probably shouldn't. Probably could just add more yarn if I needed to, which maybe I should do that. Maybe I should undo this, because I do have way too much, I think. It's supposed to be enough for 3 times around the length of the sweater, or the circumference. And I have done 2 of the 10 stitches that you need to do to take off the to do this bind off. So I've taken off 8 stitches. This is going to be long, and I have the instructions here. I watched Brooklyn Tweed's video. It was a good video. And then now I'm just gonna read the steps and do it over and over again until I have it memorized. So here we go. It's a new day, and I only have this much left to cast off. I got the hang of the 2x2 Italian bind off, and I actually really, really like it. It's actually fun. There's 10 steps, and it's the type of thing that I've been able to actually like put down and pick up again, because it's taken me at least like three hours, and so I haven't been able to like continue working for those 3 hours straight. So it's cool. I kind of know where to stop it, and then I even know like when I'm working on it, if I like look away, I'm able to figure out where I am. So I've been having fun with it, and I'm just gonna finish taking it off, and then I will give it a block, and then I can finally wear it. We have reached the point where this sweater is all done being patched up. You can see a little bit of my maneuverings, and you can see where I added in this ribbing. I am curious to see what will happen once I've given it a little bit of a bath, so I'm going to dip it, give it a little bit of a block and a bath, and then I'm going to try it on and see what we're looking like. Maybe I'll try it on right now. Let's see. This is what it's looking like. I think I'm just curious to see like how it will relax. It's definitely short, it's definitely cropped. That is what I was looking for. And it'll have just so much less fabric. When I've worn it before, it had so much extra fabric that it would, if I was to tuck it into something, it just took up so much space. So I definitely think that it will be way, way, way more wearable for me now. But yeah, I just want to see how this ribbing relaxes, you know? So we're going to give it a bath, and then I will dry it, lay it out to dry, and then we'll see what happens. We'll see how it looks. We'll see if it changes much at all. I think usually when you are blocking a sweater, you're blocking like the whole thing, so there's a lot more of a change. I'm not sure there will be that much of a change with this, but I'm curious. So here we go. to, oh, we're dry. We're all dry. I'm putting this on the correct way today. Let's see what we look like. Smells good. Okay, let's see. Okay, the blocking helped just like smooth out the ribbing. It looks great. That's so nice. I think I might have, yeah. Wow, I love it. It looks great. Was worth it. You can't see the hole anymore. The ribbing is perfect. Let's see, I don't know if it really like stretched out much. I think that I would have needed to reblock the whole entire sweater, but we're looking much better. We're shorter, we're cropped. We can do a tiny tuck, and I think it looks great. I'll maybe do this little fold. Will I? Let's see. So cozy, but not tons of extra fabric. And now I have more yarn. Really nice cashmere yarn to use for something else. So I'm excited about that. But I love it. I'm so excited. It's so nice. It kind of was, I got to the middle of this project and I was concerned. I was like, maybe this is not actually what I want to do, but I am very happy with how it turned out. Honestly, I'm curious what you think. Some people might think that I am crazy for doing this, but yeah, ultimately, like, this makes this sweater, which I really love, a much more wearable sweater for me on the long term, which I really, really like, because before I would have to tuck so much of it in. It like swallowed so much of me, and then I would have like this big pouch of fabric tucked in, and I hated how that felt and how that looked. And now I feel like this just fits my style and my vibes so much more. So I'm very happy, and it's really, really cool to think that I have these superpowers to be able to do something like this, right? Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I greatly appreciate you, and bless you for being here still. If you have any questions, leave a comment. If you like this video, please like it. And if you're having fun with me, then please subscribe and keep following along for more videos. Hope that you have a really good rest of your day, and bye for now. Take care.